Alright, so it's time to talk about Trinity, who is the patron saint of all things support in Warframe and is welcome to absolutely any group, as far as I'm concerned. There are, however, two significantly different builds for Trinity. One is the 99% damage reduction Trinity, and the other is the energy vampire Trinity, or just vampire Trinity. The first of which, it basically is just kind of exactly what it says, 99% damage reduction constantly for the entire group, massive amounts of healing, along with a minor amount of giving people energy. The second is almost 100% focused entirely on just fucking giving everyone the most amount of energy in the largest range possible. And that's the build that I don't really use very much, and I don't really like compared to the 99% build. But let's take a look at both of them. Head right on down here. So, the first one we're going to go over is the 99% damage reduction Trinity, and there is a caveat to this one that makes it a little bit more interesting than most builds. But let's just start with what we've got. So for this, you're going to want pretty much as much duration as you can possibly get. This helmet that I'm using is an old Aura helmet, which helps with that a little bit, but it's not a gigantic difference in quality of the build. But basically, you want as much duration as you can possibly get. I am a little bit off. I need to max Prime Continuity. I need to finish maxing Narrow-Minded. Well, no, I probably never will, just because I like that one stretch kind of generally offsets the range. That's a personal preference of mine. But generally, you want as much duration as you can realistically get. So the mods that I'm not using that are duration-based, I think it's just Constitution. Yes, it's just Constitution because I like to use Intensify instead of Constitution. Which is an option. You can kind of take it either way with that. Intensify is just my preferred to get more energy out of Vampire on this build, but it's easily swappable, and that is generally pretty good. Same with Stretch, to a degree, is that I also like to have more range on my Energy Siphon. This is kind of a little bit of a mixed build in that way, in that Stretch and Intensify are kind of in service of Siphon, but the rest of it is completely in service of 99% damage reduction. And generally, with this build, you're gonna usually always have energy because of Siphon, so Quick Thinking is a good choice for a lot of survivability, on top of having 99% damage reduction. And it also serves another function in this build, which is that you don't kill yourself. So that mod is very, very good. Mobilize is just for mobility, and then everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Efficiency, so you can do it a lot, and then just duration. So the caveat to that build is that you need to be able to hurt yourself, and you need to be able to get yourself to 2 health, which you can accomplish with the glaive. And this is generally how I've seen players do it. You can do it with explosive weaponry, but I don't think it is as good because the melee weapon is a thing that Trinity doesn't really have a way to effectively super use the melee weapon to its fullest extent, like say someone like Chroma, maybe, or Valkyr even, or Excalibur. So having your Glaive Prime be your weapon that damages you is really effective, and you can do this with a normal glaive and all that stuff. The key is throwing it and making it explode to take you down to 2 health, and then you hit 4 because your 4 is based on how much damage you've taken, gives you the reverse percentage of how much health you have remaining is the damage resistance that you're given. And with this build, you get about 20 seconds of 99% damage reduction every single time you do it, which turns out is pretty goddamn good. And makes it so that an entire party of players, let's say in a raid, can essentially not die ever, which is really good. So that is the function of this build, and I will demonstrate that build But before I go and demonstrate that, let's look at the Siphon build. So, this build is significantly different, and it's not a build that I like to use, but it is a good build, and it has its definite specific use. So, before I start this off, I want to say a couple of things about this build. In my opinion, this build needs 2 Forma. You need to form a V polarity and a V polarity. And the reason you do that is so that you can have a max fleeting expertise and a max streamline to make it more like because your goal is to dump energy as much as possible, and you will usually be able to do that, but just having more efficiency lets you do that more and more consistently. Another option there is to just to do let's say max fleeting and a primed flow so that you have more energy, and there are a couple things in that way. And obviously use quick thinking on this build because you're gonna have a fuckload of energy because you're just constantly spewing energy everywhere. It's giant range, giant strength. This build is just for exploding everything into energy. You look at an enemy and then that enemy turns into energy for your entire team, essentially. That's just what this build is for. Tons of strength, tons of range to give tons of energy to everyone. That's all this build does. But because it does that, it is incredibly effective. And then also the other reason that you would want more efficiency is because then you can use your 4 to a much greater effect, in that you can hit 4 and also heal everyone at 95% power efficiency. I think that your 4 costs a little too much, and it kind of drops the effectiveness of your 2, but not insanely. This is completely manageable as it is, and I've used it and it's fine, but you make it significantly easier on yourself by adding in that extra efficiency. So I just wanted to say that right off the top. But yeah, basically give energy to dudes. That's what this is for and does. There's one more thing I'd like to explain on this before I go show it off, and that is I'm using Physique. So usually Physique is kind of a bad mod, but you can't, on this build I use Rejuvenation because I'm just giving people energy. On this build you can't use Rejuvenation because it'll rejuvenate your health while you're trying to give people damage reduction. So if you're going to use this in a raid, it's a fair warning to just be just ask everyone, don't bring Rejuvenation. Just say it. Just tell everyone, because if they bring Rejuvenation, it won't give everyone 99% damage reduction, which is a huge downside. So that is the reason Physique is being used. Also, obviously, if you want to form a Trinity, because this is unformed Trinity that I'm using Physique in, you could drop Physique and do Corrosive Projection or Energy Siphon or what have you. Energy Siphon probably less so than Corrosive Projection, or whatever else auras that you want, because Trinity is one of the frames that, unless you need Corrosive Projection, it's kind of whatever aura you want. Rifle Lamp is fine, this is fine, that's fine. There are a lot of options for Trinity because she doesn't have energy problems. So a lot more auras become viable to use. And I chose Physique because it matches the polarity, and I can't use Rejuvenation. So let's go get into and show off how this works. Because it is counterintuitive, and I will not say that I am particularly good at it. I am not a Trinity main or anything, but I am okay at it. I can perform the task at the most. So because I'm just demonstrating how this works, we'll just do this capture, because I kind of just want to show off the functionality of it, and not particularly why this is good, because it's good in a team setting. It's really overpowered kind of in a team setting, but you need this specific build to do it. I don't even know why I'm opening enemies. I'm probably going to abort this mission halfway. So, you can still energy siphon. Let's get some energy here. Okay. Now that I've maxed out my energy really quick. Okay, so the basic gist is whenever you throw a glaive, you can throw it, and then whenever you channel, and you have to have your melee weapon properly equipped for this, whenever you channel, your glaive will explode. Now that explosion can hurt you. And the timing is something that you have... Lotus, please shush. So there's timing involved in this, in that right when you release it is when you want it to explode, so that it hurts you. And now this build is not perfect, which is kind of the reason that I use quick thinking, is because it allows me to go a little bit past to the point of where I would die, and it just drains a little bit of energy from me, which you will immediately see. So I am at 225 energy. Throw this, and I fucked it up. Timing is a little wonky. There we go. So 225 energy. It drained 17 energy. Not a big deal for Trinity. And then you can just hit 4, and you get the 99% damage reduction for about 20 seconds, which is really, really good and is super repeatable. And you can see how much less damage that does now. I did a total of 4 shield damage as opposed to my entire health bar. So it's very, very good at what it does. The timing does take time to get down, though. Like, if you're going to be a Trinity main, like, getting the timing down is very important. But once you get that timing down, like, enemies can't really even hope to hurt you. A staggering 0 damage. An unprecedented 0 damage. Oh, 1 damage. And, like, I get that these enemies are incredibly low level, but, like, the amount of damage an enemy has to get to be able to get through, like, 99% is an incredible amount, let's say. And remember, it's also important to know, like, it's also a full heal. So, like, the effective health that I have right now with, like, 600 is, like, just multiply that by 100. So, like, it's, like, an absurd amount. Now, let's just get this guy real quick. Might as well complete the mission. But basically, you're giving your entire party that much damage resistance. Which, like, if it was just you, it probably would be like, that's fine, but it's not, like, amazing or anything. But when it's your entire party, it's, like, hilarious. Also, you have Link, which is pretty good, like, just, like, for normally using it. And that's, like, whenever you... I don't know, like, just for running around, like, Link is much easier to pull off and gives you pretty good damage resistance as well. Plus, the reflected damage can be nice. So you have, like, that option as well because of your high duration. And then, obviously, with this build, your 2 is still great for just boosting you up to just max energy. Like, pretty much instantly. It's very nice. But yeah, generally this build is just really, really good, and in a raid, you are the raid's best friend as this. I believe this build was one of the people that was in my recent raid videos, so yeah, like, this build's really, really good. Actually, I think we had 2 Trinities. I think it was actually both of these builds were both in the raid at the same time, and it went great. It went real good.
Excellent work. You'll interrogate the captive back at base. Your part is done here, Colonel.
Yeah. Anyway, some of the nice things about Trinity, though, is that you're kind of locking down your melee weapon with this Trinity to be using Glaive Prime, but that's not really such a huge deal. And the main benefit that you get because of that is, like, huge. Like you lock down your melee as Glaive Prime, but you get such a huge benefit that that's fine. And then also, you don't really, like, need to synergize at all with your other, like, main weapons, so you can just bring your strongest possible primary and secondary and just fucking blow shit away, and it's never a big deal. So that stuff is great. But But yeah, generally both of the like popular Trinity builds, which are these two, are just really, really good. And the only tricky thing is depending on what your health and shield levels are on your specific Trinity build. Depends on like how you have to tweak your damage for your glaive. So for my glaive, what works out is this mod setup. So if you were to have the exact same setup as me, this is kind of what you use, because this does just about the perfect amount of damage to get you to that 2 health point. So yeah, we've got the 99% Trinity, and we've got Vampire Trinity. And like I said before, this one kind of needs Forma. Expensive mods. But overall, these builds are so good, and Trinity is like the toppest tier frame.